Good evening, one and all. I take this wonderful opportunity to welcome you all to this wonderful Thursday Satsang today, which is a spiral of wisdom. So, here, without wasting any one single second, we shall begin the flow of the event. So, here goes the school prayer. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom, O hidden light, shining in every creature, O hidden love, embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Thank you. And I welcome Acharya Ji to this wonderful satsang, and we are looking forward for your session, Acharya Ji. So over to you. Thank you.
I hope my screen is visible. I will.
Yes.
What is this? Continue to share. Just a second. Oh, this window is not going. Give me just a minute. I will share it again. Is it? Oh, I'm getting this button to continue to share, and I'm clicking
Yes.
and it's not working.
You have to just stop sharing,
Okay.
and now you have to click on it. I mean, you can share it. It is already shared. You cannot click on again share. So it was full screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
So can you please reshare it again?
is it working now?
Yes. Very much clear.
Okay, fine. And you can't see the window in between, right?
No.
Which asks me to continue. Okay, then it's okay. No problem. But I can't control the slides from here. Share.
You have to click on the PowerPoint. You have to just open the PowerPoint there as a small slides. When you click on share, then only you have to elaborate the slides.
Okay, give me just a minute. I think PowerPoint is having some issue. I will restart PowerPoint and then it should be
Sure.
fine. Yeah, now it is fine.
Yes,
Great.
now it is very clear.
श्रीवत्सवंशकलशोदधिकौस्तुभस्य श्रीवासराघवगुरोस्तनयं ततश्च विद्या अवाप्य विबुधोत्तमतां दधानं कुर्वे सदा हृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यं रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वय भट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्. Today's title is Yoga in Action, and it is being presented to you by me. My name is Veerarsghavacharya, and I am presenting this topic, Yoga in Action, today. To give you a short introduction about myself, from the professional side, I have a degree in electronics, and then I went ahead and pursued a postgraduate study in data science. Likewise, I also did MA in Sanskrit, BA and MA in Sanskrit. I did. So I hold degrees in Nyaya, that is Tarka Shastra, and also Vishishtadvaita Vedanta. But the original teaching that has come to me, which is not only relevant to the body, but is relevant to the real me, is something that I received from my Venerable Acharya, whose prayer I recited at the very beginning of this session. Under him, I got a lot of things cleared. My first interaction with him was kind of a question and answer. I asked him literally 100 questions and he answered all of them. Afterwards, I became knowledgeable enough to know that I know nothing. And I approached him some years later, saying, my knowledge is next to nothing. I am confused. I think I understand bits and pieces, but I do not seem to understand anything in reality. Only you can guide me. I did not know at that time that all the information that we have today from Bhagavad Gita about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, everything came as a result of this kind of a question by Arjuna. I was not that educated. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we have 18 chapters. The first chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna is sad. He thinks, oh, should I really fight? He is in a state of confusion. He is in the battlefield, yet he is confused. So many people will die. They are my own relatives, my own gurus. Why should I kill them? Why should I fight them? He is confused in that way. Krishna knew about Arjuna's confusion even before he took him there to the center of the battlefield. Krishna knows everything. But Krishna did not take any action. What was Krishna doing? He was waiting. And what was he waiting for? He was waiting for Arjuna to realize that he is empty. Like how I got to realize that I am empty with no knowledge and then went to and surrendered to my Venerable Acharya. In that way, Arjuna surrenders to Krishna. In the seventh chapter of the seventh shloka of the second chapter, Karpanya doshopahata svabhava, that shloka. So you can see there that Arjuna surrenders to Krishna. That is the very beginning of any kind of learning. If we want to learn, we should first understand that we haven't yet learned. There is something to be learned. Arjuna realized it. And after he expressed it, Krishna started teaching. So, this word yoga, where does it really come from? We hear it all the time. Now, I come from Tamil Nadu, a state in which certain Sanskrit words are used in peculiar ways. It might be the case in more southern states as well. I'm not aware. But one of the popular meanings used for the word yoga is good luck. Oh, look at this man. He must be having a great yoga. That is how he got so rich so quickly. They speak in that way. He should have a great yoga. What are they referring to? They are referring to yoga from the context of astrology. That is one way to talk about it. The more popular one across the world, when you say yoga, what do people think? Closing your eyes, sitting in some asana, doing some breathing exercises. That is the way people understand yoga as soon as the word itself is said. Now, this could be argued to be correct as well as wrong. How is it correct and how is it wrong? Firstly, we need to understand what that yoga is about. Now, we are speaking from the school of ancient wisdom, which does teach yoga. So, I believe the people here do have a context, some context at least, about yoga. Yoga is not just for the body. The body, when it feels very tired, all I need to do is sleep. I would get out of tiredness. Sleep is also a kind of yoga, but that is not something that you would learn from a guru. You would do it naturally. But there is something more. What is there? Look at the world today. So many people are having stressful lives. They are having difficulties, lots and lots of problems. It's a very complex life that we are living in. And in this kind of a life, it is not easy to get mental peace. We need mental peace, but we don't know what to do. So there are so many people who have spoken to me. They said, I opened Bhagavad Gita, I did not find peace. I opened Srimad Bhagavatam, I did not find peace. They are all supposed to teach me about peace, but I could not find peace anywhere. But I have not heard a single person who, after going to any authentic school of yoga, told me that he did not find peace. They all found peace. That mental peace is one of the many, many guarantees of yoga. Okay, but if we are talking about mental peace, how is it going to be related to the title? The title is Yoga in Action. So, what exactly are we referring to here when we say yoga in action? Are we talking about uh, yoga working for us? Like, look, it is Shukra yoga for him. All the great things are going to happen in his life. That way, definitely not. We are going to look at it from a more philosophical perspective. So, from the philosophical perspective, if we want to understand it, the first thing that we should ask is, who am I? Without asking who am I cannot enter Indian philosophy. Indian philosophy always focuses on self realization. This self realization is done through so many ways. One authentic path that has been taught to us is itself called yoga. Now, inside this yoga, there are several branches. So, if I ask, who am I? Am I the body? No. Am I the mind? No. How do I know that I am not the body? Because I know this body is being controlled by me. If you cut my hand, I might still live. If you cut my foot, I might still live. Some people undergo even heart transplantation and they still survive. So, I cannot be the body. Okay, am I the mind then? No. When my mind is not working, when I am in coma, I am still supposed to be alive. Okay, let me not call myself the conscious mind. Let me call myself the subconscious mind. Can I do that? It is okay to do it, but how do you know that there is a subconscious mind and that it is not just some random physical and chemical process going on? We need proof of it. So, when we talk about mind, we enter the realm of consciousness. Even when the mind is inactive, we think about only one thing. Am I a conscious being or not? Am I a sentient being or not? That is how we define living being. Living being means sentient being. Living being, if it has a mind, it will have a direct consciousness. Otherwise, it would still be subconscious. We know this much from science. So, there is something above the mind, even beyond the mind. The mind is helping me. The mind is helping me to understand the way my mind worked 3 years ago is not the way it is working today. The way my mind was 10 years ago is very different from what it is today. My mind has changed. I've changed my mind, but I have not changed. So I cannot be the mind. I know that much. So as we keep inquiring, who am I? Who am I? We have guidelines in the form of scriptures taught to us by the elders. The elders taught us a lot of things. It's a huge corpus. And we are experiencing tiny drops out of the entire ocean. So when we look at it that way, we see that the elders have told us about the concept of the Atma. So they say, you are the Atma. You are not your body, you are not your mind. Okay, why are we discussing about Atma here? Because yoga, as taught by the same scriptures that were revealed by our ancestors, had as its original purpose the uplifting of the Atma. Now, why are we differentiating this uplifting of the Atma? There is a reason. We, when I say that we are not the bodies and the minds, when I say that I am Atma and not the body, it is a way of identifying myself. So when you say that yoga helps the Atma, what is to be understood? It is to be understood that yoga is something that is actually helping you. Ordinary sleep can help the body. It can help the body. It can help even the mind to some extent. Can it help the Atma? If yes, by how much extent? By how much quantity? Yoga can help the Atma to the maximal quantity. That is why we celebrate yoga. It takes us from the very beginning, from scratch, till the ultimate stage. Okay, this much I hope is clear for everybody. If this much is clear, we should move on a little more and try to understand what the scriptures have said. Now we are discussing about yoga in the context of philosophy. I have brought in the Atma already. So, which scripture shall we refer to? There are so many. We'll go to Gita because Bhagavad Gita is one of the most popular, most commented, most cited, that kind. What is said in Bhagavad Gita? There, a number of things form part of yoga, right? Just a few minutes back, I said the first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama. Does it mean the sadness of Arjuna also takes us forward? No, we are not saying that the sadness of a person would take us forward, but learning about the cause of the sadness of Arjuna and the confusion therein, and further looking at what is implied by it in our own lives. That is going to be very important. All of us are like Arjuna. All of us have a Kurukshetra. Kauravas and Pandavas were fighting in the Kurukshetra. What is happening here? We also have good qualities and bad qualities. We have good qualities and bad qualities, and there is a constant clash between the two. What should I do? at any point of time. I am walking in the railway station. I see a poor mother with her baby begging for money. Should I give her some money? If I give her some money, I will earn punya, but I will lose money. If I don't give her anything, I will have this money with me, but I will not get the punya. What should I do? My own selfish need for money would be clashing with my good quality that says, please give to her in charity. That is also a fight. Should I speak the truth or should I not speak at all? Or should I speak a lie? That is a battle that many of us keep fighting. Many times we see a situation where it's easy to speak a lie and get away. Speaking the truth is difficult, it is not always easy. Some truths are bitter, but then the Shastra will come and hit you. It will say, you should speak the truth, but that truth should also be sweet. Speak only the truth, never speak lies, but make sure that the truth is spoken in a sweet manner, in a kind manner. Don't sacrifice truth for kindness, and don't sacrifice kindness for the truth. This is the teaching of Sanatana Dharma. How do we follow it? It is so tough. Is it even possible to follow? Yes, it is. How? By fighting the battle, by taking the effort. Krishna tells Arjuna, go and fight. It is your duty. If you win, you will be celebrated as a hero. If you lose, you will still be celebrated as a great warrior who fought in the battlefield bravely and died. But if you do not fight, oh Arjuna, everybody would mock you. They would make fun of you. They would call you a coward. So, what should we do in our lives? We should also take action. We should also take action. We cannot stay idle and confused. Oh, I don't know. Will this work or not? Will this work or not? I don't know. A person who never tries never succeeds. I see 3 messages in the chat section. Let me see very quickly. There is a question. How can truth be told with softness when we know that it will hurt? That is exactly where the difficulty comes. It requires practice, knowing how to be sweet. Not everybody is able to say everything in a sweet way, but understanding what is sweet matters a lot. Let me give you an example. Sweet does not mean that the other person is satisfied. Our aim is not to satisfy the other person or convince the other person. Many times we think that way. We are brought up that way in society. Even modern psychology teaches us to mingle with the society. That is not what we are taught in the scripture. Of course, we should mingle with society, no doubt about that. But our aim should not be to convince the others. Our aim should be to present the fact in the sweetest way possible. That is the real teaching. And that is exactly what brings us to yoga in action. So, when we perform actions, we said you have to perform action. It is a teaching of the Gita. Bhagavad Gita says we have to perform action. How do you perform action? There are so many ways. There are so many ways. Krishna gives a great lot of advice, amazing advice he gives. One important thing that we should see here is what Krishna says in the second chapter. Let me take you to the next slide, which also happens to be our last slide. I do not have many slides prepared, but we will cover the context of yoga in action to the best of our capabilities. Why is it to the best of our capabilities? Because that is the teaching of Krishna. We will come to that shortly. In the second chapter, there is a shloka. There, in the 50th shloka of the second chapter, Krishna says, Buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukruta dushkrute tasmad yogaya yujyasva yoga karma kaushalam. There is something very beautiful in the Sanskrit verse. He says, devote yourself to yoga. And then he says, what is yoga as well? What does he explain yoga as? He says, yoga karmasu kaushalam. Swami Gambhirananda has translated. He says, yoga is skillfulness in action. It is beautiful to call action as skilled action and unskilled action. This is what we are discussing today. If you look at the question that was asked in the chat section, let me repeat that question. How can truth be told with softness when we know that it will hurt others? Action here would refer to revealing the truth. Skilled action would refer to speaking it in the politest possible way. Let us look at that in greater detail now. So, Bhagavan says, yoga is skillfulness in action. It sounds really great, but what do you mean by that skillfulness? What is the skill and how do I develop it? It matters, right? So, Bhagavad Ramanuja, in his commentary, he says, yoga here refers to Buddhi Yoga. What is this Buddhi Yoga? He says you should learn to control your Buddhi and use it in an appropriate way. When you use it well, then this Buddhi Yoga, which is skillfulness in action, that would make you capable of achieving very great things. Buddhi Yoga Ati Samarthya Sadhya, he says. So, if it is something that is going to help you to do something well, what is it? This yoga is itself not an action. It is something that exists inside the mind. It is something that exists inside the mind. And it has many aspects inside of it. So, the most important aspect, if you look at it, that is explained by Krishna in the very next shloka. कर्मजं बुद्धियुक्ता हि फलं त्यक्त्वा मनीषिणः जन्मबन्धविनिर्मुक्ताः padam gacchantya namayam. So he says, padam gacchantya namayam. They go to anamaya pada. What is this anamaya pada? The maximum benefit given by yoga is getting freedom from this cycle, endless cycle of births and deaths. So in Sanatana Dharma, we say we are not the body, we are the Atma. And Atma, what does it undergo? When you look at it here in the world, It undergoes rebirth. Again and again it is born, it lives, it dies. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam, as it is said. Again and again there is birth, then there is death. Again you take birth, you are inside some mother's womb, then you come out, you live life. Again and again and again it keeps happening. We are bound to this cycle. But we could get free from it by doing what? By doing yoga. Okay. But what should we do inside that yoga? Krishna says, give up the fruits of action. So he says, do your duty, but do not seek your results from that duty. And Krishna is going to present the same message in different ways in different shlokas. So, karmajam phalam tyaktva. Karma phala. Every action that we do has a reaction. There is a consequence of every action. That reaction is called as karma phala. Karma phalam tyaktva. Forgo that reaction. What do you mean forgo that reaction? Everything that we do is done by us with some expectation. We have some kind of expectation. That is why we do. Even a boy who spends all his time in useless chatter, discussing about useless topics, nothing productive in his life, not discussing about studies, not even being an expert at playing or some other extracurricular activity, just talking about others and wasting time. Even that kind of a boy would be speaking in this way out of some expectation. So we have expectations. We always set goals. The problem is, many times we do not know that we are setting goals. And we do not know which goals are being set. The boy who speaks mindlessly also has a goal. He wants to pass time. Maybe he enjoys discussing useless things. He gets happiness. So, for the sake of happiness, he is doing it. Or for the sake of passing time, he is doing it. So, there is some expectation, some result, some end goal, some consequence. He is expecting that. So, to achieve something, to achieve that goal, he is doing this. His goal is bad, his path is also bad. How should we be? We should set clear goals and work towards it without thinking about anything else. Do not think about the fruits of action, Krishna says. So, that means we have to do our duty. And we should do our duty not because we are expecting some result out of it, but because it is our duty. Because it is our duty, we have to follow it. That would make us kind of robotic, right? Oh, I have to go to office. I have no other way to earn money. Therefore, I have to go to office. No. There, I am actually expecting money. Do not expect anything. If your duty is to go to office and work, then do it because it is your duty. But what is this karma phala tyaga? Tyaktva, Krishna says. Phalam tyaktva. It implies that you are doing all of these things, but you are not chasing the result. This is a great lesson in so many management schools they teach all over the world. They say, do your duty, but do not seek the result. Why? The result will eventually come to you. You give quality. If you are launching a startup, focus on product quality. Do not focus on money. Instead of focusing on revenue, focus on solving some problem for the customers, solving some problem for the end user. What challenges are people facing? See that. Try to solve it. If you are able to create a product that solves it or a service that solves it, money will automatically come. You don't have to worry. But if you chase behind money, you might fail in quality, and once you fail in quality, money will also not come. So, even from the most materialistic, westernized perspective, we are still saying that foregoing the consequences of action is a great thing to do. Now, one more question has been asked. Is karma phala a physical or non physical form? Because we just said that every action has a reaction. The thing is, karma does not have a form. My body has a form. But what is karma? Karma is action in our case, right? Action is something that is being performed by the body. And a reaction is something that I face accordingly. Actions are themselves of three types: thoughts, words, and physical actions. Physical action, when I move something, when I think something, that is also karma. When I speak, technically my lips are still moving, my tongue is moving. That is also a kind of action. So, karma happens at three levels: thoughts, words, and actions. Depending on which level karma is working in, karma phala, the reaction, would also come in the same level. So, if I perform karma through thoughts, the karma phala will also come through thoughts. You could take it in that way. Okay. Now, for us to understand this concept, and also more importantly, understand why Krishna has said it so many times again and again and again. We usually hear only one shloka, right? Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. That is what we hear all the time. But the same teaching has already been presented and would be presented later as well. Krishna says it again and again and again. Krishna is going to say the same thing again and again and again. Sixth chapter, first shloka. Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karotiyaha. He says the same thing. The fourth chapter, he says the same thing. The 18th chapter, he says the same thing. He is presenting us a topic that is so important that he is speaking about it again and again and again. Now, let us get a little technical. We said there are three yogas: karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga. These three are discussed in Bhagavad Gita. Oh, what about Raja Yoga? I have studied chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita. Don't worry, that will also fall under these. As far as categorization is concerned, Vedavyasa said in Srimad Bhagavatam that Bhagavan himself said, classify them into these three. That is enough. You don't have to look at any yoga outside of these three. That is why, even in the Ramanuja Sampradaya, where we talk about the concept of total surrender, that total surrender is taken to be a special case of Bhakti Yoga. Now, when we are looking at yoga in action, we said we should do the duty, but we should not be seeking the result. If we don't seek the result, how will we get anything properly? Will we be able to do the duty properly? A student studying for an exam has to aim for full marks to score full marks. If the student doesn't study for the sake of marks, the student might not get marks. Is that not correct? Well, Krishna says, you surrender all of your actions to me. So when Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja, several acharyas have said Dharman Parityajya does not mean abandon Dharma itself, forget Sanatana Dharma itself. Not that way. Leave your karma phala. Do your duty, but do it by surrendering to Krishna. Do it by surrendering to Krishna. Do it with devotion. The devotion that you see at the center of this slide, right? The person with folded hands praying. That devotion. Have that devotion in your mind. But in the name of devotion, do not be idle. What should you do? You should do your duty, like the archer shown in the image. You can see there is an archer, right? His duty at profession, what is it? Archery. Like Arjuna, his duty, he's a warrior, he has to fight. That is his duty. There are great things. You can see nice mountains at the right side, but it is his duty to fight. There is this famous poem, right? That says, the woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Likewise, we should see this as a case of doing our duty and focusing on it more than focusing on the present enjoyment. Now, what all would fall under our duties? There are lots of things, right? We all say Arjuna was a warrior, it was his duty to fight. But that was not his only duty. There are more duties. Arjuna was also a householder. He was in Grihastha Ashrama. He had a duty towards his family as well. He had a duty towards his family, his wife, Draupadi, his son, Abhimanyu, and the others. So, there are many aspects of duties. Based on those duties, we should perform our actions. That is what is conveyed by Krishna in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Wait, why are we discussing the 6th chapter? Why don't see it in the bullets? The bullets talk about chapter 2 and chapter 4. We are discussing the 6th chapter to understand what has been said in the 2nd chapter. That's it. So in the 6th chapter, first shloka, as we saw, Krishna says, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha. Anashrita karma phalam. Without depending on the fruits of action. Karyam, the duty. Karyam karma karoti yaha. Action that is aligned with duty, one who performs it. Sa sannyasi cha yogi cha. That person is the real sannyasi. And that person is the real yogi. Who do we define as a sannyasi? A person who is following sannyasa. Who do we call as a yogi? A practitioner of yoga, right? So the real practitioner of yoga is one who does his duties without relying on the fruits of those duties, without running behind them. Na niragnir nacha kriya. Niragni is a word used to refer to people in sannyasa ashrama. Akriya is a word used to refer to people who are doing meditation because they would sit at one place and keep meditating. They are called akriyas. So in front of a person who has entered the 4th ashrama, having crossed the previous 3, he has become a renunciate. But he has not renounced karma phala. And then there is a person who is doing yoga every day. He sits, he meditates for 3 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. But he is still not leaving the desire for karma phala. Even the meditation he is doing, oh, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve that, therefore let me meditate. It is of that kind. In front of these kinds of people, when you take the person who is doing karma phala tyaga, who is renouncing the fruits of action. How would it be? In front of this person, the yogi would be an ordinary person. Only the person who is renouncing the fruits of the action would be a real yogi. And only he would be a real sannyasi. We call him as karma sannyasi. We call him as karma yogi. So, this is the concept of karma phalatyaga that is central in Bhagavad Gita. There are many concepts that could be called as central to Bhagavad Gita, but this karma phalatyaga appears everywhere. No matter which school of philosophy you go to Advaita, you go to Dvaita, polar opposite, both will tell you the same topic, both will tell you the same concept. You cannot escape this. So, now let us go to the fourth chapter. Here it gets a little interesting. We are going to look at only specific shlokas, of course. Krishna says, Karmano hyapi bodhavyam, bodhavyam cha vikarmanah, akarmanascha bodhavyam, gahana karmano gatihi. Talking of action, you should know about action. You should know about bad action, and you should know about inaction. That is how it gets translated. Some people translated it as you should know about action, special action, and inaction. Whatever. But what is there to know? It is so easy, right? Maybe about action, there is a lot to know. How to perform action, what is yoga in action, how to do the action without seeking the result, and still get the result as well. There are so many questions. Is it really possible to do something without expecting a result? Shankaracharya says there are four sadhanas to attain moksha. One of them, he says, mumukshutvam, the desire for moksha. If I do not desire moksha, will I ever get moksha? I will never try for it. So it is not a simple topic. It is a complex one. But even though it is complex, we have, thankfully, enough guidance from the great saints of the past and many of the present who have preserved these teachings and brought them to us. So, akarma, that is inaction, maybe that is easy. Action is complex, and we know it only because the scriptures have been preserved and everything. What is there to learn about inaction? Inaction is very simple. Inaction means I'm doing nothing. My venerable Acharya once gave a beautiful story. He said there was a saint, sadhu, residing in a temple. In the temple, there were so many expenditures, right? Puja has to be done every day. So the temple priest will be given some money. The alankar has to be done, abhishek has to be done. All of that requires money. That money would be spent. Cleaning the temple requires money. That money would be spent. Likewise, there was every day some amount of money spent to feed this sadhu. It went on for a while. Then the caretaker of the temple got old and his son took over. His son, being an MBA graduate, immediately took up the financial records and saw what sort of management is this? We are giving money to this sadhu. What does this sadhu do? It is written in the description. This sadhu does not perform any action. The sadhu who does not perform any action has received so much money. I mean, so much food, so much this, so much that. He is not able to understand. Why is inaction being rewarded? Could you really reward inaction? He is being idle, doing nothing. He is lazy. And laziness is a bad trait. It is tamoguna. How could you reward that? He decided to go to the temple and talk to the sadhu. The sadhu said, if you could be inactive for a single minute, I will explain everything to you. The boy said, okay, I will do that. He sat down. He did nothing. After a minute, he opened his eyes and he said, look, I have also been inactive for a minute. And this is exactly what you have been doing for years. Yet you have been given a place to stay and you are being given food. How is it fair? The sadhu said, you are not inactive. My boy, although you closed your eyes and did nothing with your body, you traveled from this local temple in India to the US. You circled the entire globe in your mind. You thought about this, you thought about that. The sadhu started listing everything that was taught by the boy when he was inactive. So, in essence, the sadhu, when he said inaction, he meant inaction not only in Sharira but also in Manas, not only in the body but also in the thoughts. What kind of inaction is that? Bhagavad Ramanuja explains. He says, understand akarma in this way. If you think akarma to be doing of nothing, you might take it to be laziness and misinterpret it. But think about akarma to be knowledge. If it is knowledge, knowledge is not an action. Knowledge is not an action, right? Knowledge is akarma. So by akarma, understand knowledge. Why? Because in the very next shloka, Krishna says, we are coming towards the end of the lecture and we need to learn the ultimate teaching. Krishna says, there is knowledge inside of action and action inside of knowledge. कर्मण्यकर्मयः पश्येत् अकर्मणि च कर्मयः स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु स युक्तः कृत्स्न कर्मकृत्. He says, स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु. He is the most intelligent being among all the men. स युक्तः. He is the most qualified. Kritsna karma krit. He is one who has done everything. One who has done karma completely. Who? One who sees karma in akarma. Action inside inaction. How can you have any action inside of inaction? That is illogical. But no, Ramanujacharya has given us a key. He says, replace the word inaction with knowledge. So you see action inside of knowledge and you see knowledge inside of action. If you are able to do that, if you are able to see knowledge inside of action and action inside of knowledge, you would be solving the problem. Now only one thing is left, understanding this. What is knowledge inside of action? When we act, why are we acting? What are we seeking? Is it really necessary? What kind of benefit would it give us? Would that benefit be temporary or permanent? Is that benefit really necessary? There are so many questions. So many questions exist. If we get to ask these questions beforehand, if we are able to train ourselves in such a way that our answers to these questions are not inappropriate, we would be the best at action. We would be the yogis at action. We would be doing karma yoga. Likewise, there is action inside of knowledge. Getting knowledge is not a big deal. There are so many people who read. I have read 100 books. I have read 1,000 books. I have so much knowledge, but if we do not do anything with our knowledge, it would be useless. Knowledge should lead to action. I have learned something, but what is the point of learning if I don't use that knowledge? Usage of that knowledge is action. So there is action hidden inside knowledge. There is action before knowledge. I have to do some action to get knowledge. Once I get that knowledge, based on that knowledge, I have to do action. So inside that action, there is knowledge. Inside that knowledge, there is action. One who is able to understand this would be able to master the art of action. This is what we are calling as yoga in action. We are referring to behaving in the best possible way. So, coming back to the question of how to speak when the topic itself is bitter. Well, I know it's bitter, but I should speak it in the best possible way. I have to tell my friend, your father has died. How will I say it sweetly? Can I say, oh, did you know your father has died? Let's enjoy. I cannot say that. Can I cry and say, oh no, your father has died? I can, but would it be sweet to cry? I don't think we would call it sweet to cry. How would it be sweet? The point is, make it as sweet as possible. You cannot open an open door. You can only open a closed door. So, opening a door is defined only for a closed door. You cannot open an open door unless you close it, right? So, you should understand the applicability, how much ever possible, do it. Yoga in action is completely about that. If you keep running behind the result, you may miss this. There are practicalities. There are 100 things outside of your control. You have concepts like prarabdha karma coming and kicking in. You wouldn't have control over them. Yet you should do your duty. The farmer who plants seeds does not know whether each seed would grow well, whether some pest will come and eat it away, whether some flood will come and destroy the plant, whether rains will stop and the plants will dry and die. He does not know. But he still has to plant the seeds. If he plants the seeds, there are chances of him succeeding. And if he keeps trying, he will eventually succeed. But if he does not do it, he will never be able to succeed. So do it, but do not keep seeking the result. Do it because it is your duty. And if you think it is very difficult for you, don't worry. Bhagavan is always there. Bhagavan says, surrender that phala to me. Do it for me. So I am doing this, but I am doing it to please him because I know that this pleases him. Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat, that pleases him. Therefore I do it. I do things that please him for his sake. Doing things for his sake, not for my sake. If I do it for my sake, it is selfishness. If I do it for his sake, that too without expecting the result, that would be yoga in action. This is what I wanted to discuss today. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak on this topic. If anybody has any question, please feel free to ask. What if you dislike your duty and you do it only because of the outcome? Yoga in action is about doing duties in order to please Bhagavan. There is also an outcome. Pleasing Bhagavan is also an outcome at the end of the day. Without an outcome, we cannot really do anything consciously. Everything that is done by us is done for some reason or the other. A hungry baby cries because it wants its pain to stop, its hunger to stop. In the same way, we behave throughout our lives. We are doing things because we seek outcomes. But let that outcome not be for us. Let us surrender that outcome to Bhagavan. That is our teaching. What if you dislike your duty? Well, liking and disliking are possible only when I do it for myself. When I am doing it to please another person, it shouldn't matter. Now, let us say there is a man who dislikes blue color. He falls in love with a girl. Both of them get married. And then she moves in to his home. His mother shows her the wardrobe and she puts all of her clothes inside. He is watching. All of her clothes are blue in color. He is asking her, "What are you doing?" She says, "I love blue. Therefore, all my clothes are blue." Now, is the man going to accept blue because he loves his wife? Or is he going to tell his wife, "Go away because I hate blue. I dislike blue and I am having it only because of you. Therefore, you go away. If you go away, I will not have to see blue color." He is obviously not going to say that, right? So, there is something called prioritization. Is it the blue color that you want, or is it the wife, the girl you loved? You have to choose between one. Naturally, the man would choose, he would be intelligent enough to choose his wife over the color. In the same way, there are times when we go through difficult things. We do things that are not pleasing. We do things that are hard. We do things that are painful. We do things that we are not really interested in. But we do them because we seek a greater outcome. That is what you are probably referring to, Janat ji. All I'm saying is the greatest possible outcome is Bhagavan being completely pleased. There is no outcome better than that. There is no outcome better than pleasing Bhagavan. Keep that as the outcome. When you keep that as the outcome and start doing these things, whatever you hate will also start being liked by you. The hatred that you have will vanish. The pain that you have will vanish. It will automatically become sweet. You will enjoy doing it. When you do it for Bhagavan, you will start enjoying. You just need to learn that simple trick. That simple trick of not doing it for myself, but doing it for Him. That's the trick. You should think in that way. This is not for myself, this is for Bhagavan. Think about it as seva for Bhagavan. But you should train your mind to think in that way. When your mind starts thinking in that way, only then it will be karma phala tyaga. When it is not thinking that way, it is not karma phala tyaga. One more question has been asked. Are certain relationships based on our prarabdha karma of one or relationship in general? Uh, I did not quite understand the second part, or relationship in general. I will give you the answer. Let me know if I have understood your question properly. Whatever relationships we get in life, some of them are chosen by us, some of them are not chosen by us. I did not choose my parents. I was born to them. I did not choose them. But I got my parents because of prarabdha karma. Now, prarabdha karma is a concept that we haven't discussed in this session, and I wish to abstain from completely defining and explaining the concept of prarabdha karma because it is outside the scope of today's lecture. But since the question has come, I will answer it. So, whatever we are experiencing is because of prarabdha karma. The parents that we have got are also because of prarabdha karma. But there are certain cases where prarabdha karma does not give us a choice, like in the case of parents. And there are certain cases where prarabdha karma sets certain conditions, and within them, you still have a choice. It's like this: in some conditions, you are directly tied. You are tied to a pole, you can't move at all. The way they tie humans, usually, right? When some kidnaps a human, how would he tie? In such a way that you cannot move at all. That is one kind of effect of prarabdha karma. Another effect is where you can imagine it to be a rope tied to a cow. So there is a cow. The cowherd has tied it to a pole. What is the cow doing? It is grazing. Near the pole, there is grass. The cow can go sit, stand, eat, do whatever it wants, but only within the limit set by the rope. You could understand the rope to be prarabdha karma, but you do have freedom inside of it. So everything is not a direct consequence of past karma. You still have some free will. You do have the ability to choose, decide, and perform actions by yourself, which is why we discuss concepts like yoga in action. Does Atma, which transfers from one body to another, and when he chooses the mother to whom we are born, are also based on Prarabdha Karma? I have answered that. So that's it. If there's no other question, we'll conclude the session here. How will my duty, like studying economics, please Bhagavan? Well, do not think about economics as a goal. Think of it as a means. There, it is like this. If I have to travel from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, I will pass through many states, right? I have to pass through Tamil Nadu, then I have to pass through maybe Telangana or Andhra, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab. I have to pass through a lot of states. Studying of economics, think about it that way. It is necessary for a greater good. The greater good is pleasing Bhagavan. For pleasing Bhagavan, I need to do this, but for doing this, I have to do this, but for doing that, I have to study. And for studying in college, I have to study in school, and in school, I have to study economics. That way, it will keep coming down. How to get the recording session? I believe these sessions are uploaded on YouTube by the School of Ancient Wisdom. They are uploaded on YouTube. So you could definitely watch the video there. If you subscribe to their channel, you would get notified as soon as it is uploaded. Okay, thank you so much for attending. I will conclude here. श्रीवत्सवं शकलशोदधि कौस्तुभस्य श्रीवासराघवगुरोस्तनयं ततश्च विद्यावाप्य बुधोत्तमतां दधानं कुर्वे सदा हृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यं कवितार्किकसिंहाय कल्याणगुणशालिने श्रीमते वेङ्कटेशाय वेदान्तगुरवे नमः।
ತೆಗಿತೇನೆ ಸಾಕು
ಹಾ
ಸರ್.
ತ-
ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ.